Your body burns fat most efficiently in the first few hours after you wake up. Most women accidentally shut that system off with the very first thing they eat. Not because they are eating too much, because they are eating the wrong things. And after 40, the consequences of getting breakfast wrong are not the same as they were at 30. The hormonal environment has changed, and what your breakfast does inside your body has changed with it. I am going to give you 5 specific breakfast foods today. What each one does inside your body, exactly how much of it you need, and why each one works differently after 40 than it does for everyone else. Food number 1 on this list I used with Jennifer from Austin, Lisa from Denver, and Karen from Portland. Women who had tried everything and could not understand why the belly fat would not move. Food number 1 was the piece they were all missing. Stay until that. 1. My name is Nora. I spend my time going through peer-reviewed research, so you do not have to. What you are getting today is not a trend, not a hack. Every single food on this list has a specific mechanism, a reason it works inside your body, and I am going to explain every one of them. And before we begin, stay with me until the end, because I want to share something I have been building quietly for women like you. 5 foods, in order, starting with the one that is least surprising and building to the one that changes how women over 40 think about breakfast permanently. Number 1 on this list is a food most women already have in their kitchen, but almost nobody is using it the right way, or eating it at the right time, or choosing the right version of it. All 3 of those things matter, and I will explain exactly why. Stay until that one. Right now, one question in the comments. What does your breakfast look like right now? Tell me exactly. I read everything, and I want to know what you are starting from before I give you this list. 5 eggs, the liver connection most women over 40 never hear about. Most women think belly fat is a calorie problem. Eat less, move more. But after 40, there is a specific organ that is making everything harder, and almost no one is talking about it. That organ is your liver. Your liver is the organ that decides whether fat gets burned or stored. And most women over 40 have some degree of fatty liver without knowing it. There is no pain, no obvious warning sign. You just start gaining fat around your midsection and you cannot figure out why. Here is what most women, and most nutrition advice, get completely wrong about eggs. Egg yolks are one of the richest natural sources of a nutrient called choline. Choline helps your liver package fat and move it out of your liver so it can actually be burned. Without enough choline, fat builds up inside the liver. And when fat builds up in the liver, everything slows down, especially around the midsection. 2 to 3 whole eggs gets you close to half of your daily choline requirement. But that is not all eggs do. They are also rich in an amino acid called leucine. Leucine is the trigger that switches on muscle protein synthesis, the process that tells your body to maintain and build muscle. And muscle is what keeps your metabolism higher when you are resting. After 40, muscle mass drops faster than at any other point in your life. Eggs are one of the most effective tools you have to slow that process at breakfast. Journal of Nutrition. 40% greater muscle building activity from whole eggs versus egg whites alone, even when total protein intake was identical. Something in the yolk, the fats, the micronutrients, amplifies the signal. This is why throwing away the yolk is the worst thing you can do. The practical application: 2 to 3 whole eggs, not egg whites. Whole eggs? Cook them however you prefer, scrambled, poached, over easy. Add a small amount of butter or olive oil. Pair them with half an avocado if you want. We will talk about avocado in a moment, or with sautéed spinach. If you are not hungry enough for solid food first thing, try a small egg-based bite within 45 minutes of waking. The choline delivery is the priority. How to use 2-3 whole eggs. Any cooking method. Within 45 minutes of waking. Pair with fat, butter, olive oil, avocado. Stay with me, because food number 4 on this list is something most people think you have to avoid for belly fat. And the research says the exact opposite. Number 4, Greek yogurt. Casein protein plus the gut-belly fat connection. You eat breakfast. You feel good for about an hour. And then by 10 a.m. you are thinking about food again. You reach for something, a granola bar, something sweet, something quick. That is not willpower failure. That is the protein you ate at breakfast digesting too fast. When amino acids rise quickly and then fall quickly, hunger hormones climb back up. And this is where Greek yogurt becomes a completely different kind of breakfast food. The key is the type of protein it contains. Greek yogurt is rich in casein. Casein is a slow-digesting protein. When it hits your stomach, it forms a gel-like consistency. That gel slows down how quickly food leaves your stomach, which means nutrients release gradually into your bloodstream for hours, not one spike and fall. Sustained release. Here is the layer most people completely miss. High-quality Greek yogurt contains live probiotic cultures, and your gut bacteria have a direct line to your fat cells. Certain strains of good bacteria increase GLP-1, one of your primary fullness hormones. GLP-1 is the same hormone targeted by the weight loss medications that have dominated the news. You have a food that naturally supports that same pathway. Twin study, 4,000 plus women. Less visceral fat. Twins who regularly consumed yogurt with cultures had lower levels of visceral fat versus identical twins who did not. Same genetics. Same upbringing. The difference was the gut environment from what they ate. One important flag. This does not apply to flavored yogurt. Most flavored yogurts contain 20 grams or more of added sugar. That sugar spikes insulin, which tells your body to prioritize burning sugar over burning fat. And when blood sugar drops, hunger returns quickly. The label matters. Plain, unsweetened. Full fat, check for live and active cultures. How to use 1 cup plain full-fat Greek yogurt. Unsweetened. Check label for live and active cultures. Add berries and cinnamon, both of which are also on this list. Food number 3 is something that most people eating for fat loss feel guilty about. They think they are being indulgent. The twin study data says otherwise. The 3 berries. Anthocyanins, the compound that changes what belly fat does. Most people think fat cells are just storage units. They fill up, they shrink. That is the full story. But your body actually has different types of fat. White fat primarily stores energy. And then there is a second kind, brown fat, that actually burns energy to produce heat. As we age, the amount of active brown fat declines, which makes it easier to store calories and harder to burn them. And after 40, this process accelerates. Berries contain natural plant compounds called anthocyanins. These are the pigments that give blueberries, raspberries, blackberries, and strawberries their deep color. And when consumed regularly, anthocyanin-rich foods do something that most fruits cannot do. Twin study, 2007, 34 women. 3 to 9% drop in body fat, including belly fat in twins who consumed the most anthocyanins versus their identical twin who did not. Same genetics. The food created a different metabolic environment. Blueberries had the strongest effect of all berries studied. There is also a direct insulin sensitivity effect. Anthocyanins improve how your cells respond to insulin, which means less insulin is required to manage your blood sugar. And when insulin stays lower and more stable, your body has an easier time accessing stored fat for energy. This is particularly relevant after 40 when insulin resistance starts to build. One critical distinction: this is not fruit juice. A glass of orange juice is the sugar of 2 to 3 oranges without the fiber that slows that sugar down. Juice spikes insulin immediately. Whole berries, with their fiber intact, do the opposite. How to use 1 cup whole berries. Fresh or frozen, both work. Add to Greek yogurt, overnight oats, or eat straight. Blueberries first choice. Mixed berries second. Food number 2 is one most women were told to avoid for years. It is high in fat. It is calorie dense. And the research on what it does to visceral belly fat specifically changed how I think about breakfast. The dois avocado. Oleic acid plus adiponectin, the visceral fat hormone connection. For years, women were told that if you want to lose fat, you need to avoid fat. And so when they see avocado on a list like this, it feels wrong. Too many calories. Too much fat. It must slow things down. I know, stay with me here, because not all fats behave the same way inside your body. Avocado is loaded with a specific type of fat called oleic acid. Oleic acid is a monounsaturated fat. And inside your muscle cells, it does something very specific. It helps switch on the genes that are responsible for burning fat for energy. Instead of sitting in your bloodstream and being stored, that fat gets used. Saturated fat, like from a pastry or a processed breakfast sandwich, does not activate that same pathway. The type of fat matters as much as the amount. But here is the part specific to women over 40 that almost no one talks about. Avocado significantly increases adiponectin, a hormone that your fat cells produce. Adiponectin's job is to tell your body to burn fat, specifically visceral fat, the deep fat. After menopause, adiponectin levels decline alongside estrogen. Avocado at breakfast is one of the most direct dietary tools for supporting that pathway. Nutrition Journal. Overweight adults. Full avocado at breakfast participants reported significantly greater fullness for up to 6 hours after replacing refined carbohydrates at breakfast with a whole avocado. Fewer cravings, improved insulin sensitivity, reduced desire to eat throughout the day. Half to 1 avocado. Every morning, slice it next to your eggs. Spread it on sprouted grain toast. Blend it into a smoothie. Add salt, pepper, a squeeze of lemon. You do not need a recipe. You need consistency. Because the adiponectin effect is cumulative. It builds over days and weeks of regular use. How to use: 1/2 to 1 avocado. Add to eggs, on toast, or eat straight with salt and pepper. Consistent daily use is the mechanism, not occasional. And now, food number 1. The one I said at the beginning that Jennifer, Lisa, and Karen were all missing. Stay right here. You know what I hear from women on this channel more than anything else? I thought I was the only one. The sleep changes, the exhaustion, the mood shifts, the anxiety, the brain fog. Feeling completely unlike yourself, without understanding why. After hearing the same story again and again from women in their 40s and 50s, I realized something. Women in this phase of life have been completely overlooked. That is why I started PrimalHer, something being built specifically for women navigating these hormonal and body changes. Not another generic brand. Something built from the inside out for this specific phase of life. If you go to primalher.com and join the waitlist, you will be one of the very first women to hear when we launch. 1. Overnight Oats. The fat-burning switch that exercise and fasting also activate, in a bowl. Jennifer from Austin had been avoiding oats for 2 years. She had read that carbohydrates spike insulin, that insulin drives fat storage, that oats, despite being marketed as healthy, were still a carbohydrate and therefore the wrong food for belly fat. She was following advice that was not wrong exactly, but it was incomplete, because it did not account for what happens to oats specifically when you prepare them the right way. Most carbohydrates get digested quickly. They break down into glucose. Glucose raises blood sugar. Insulin rises to manage it. And while insulin is elevated, fat burning slows down. That is the typical pattern. But certain carbohydrates do not fully digest in your small intestine. They pass through intact. And when they do, everything changes. Rolled oats and steel-cut oats contain a specific type of soluble fiber called beta-glucan. Beta-glucan absorbs water and forms a thick gel in your digestive tract. That gel slows down how quickly food leaves your stomach, which means blood sugar rises more gradually, insulin stays more stable, and fat burning continues. But here is the part Jennifer had never heard. And it is the reason overnight oats are number 1 on this list. When you cook oats and then refrigerate them overnight, which is exactly what overnight oats are, some of the starch reorganizes. It transforms into what scientists call resistant starch. Resistant starch resists digestion in the small intestine. Instead of becoming glucose, it travels to your colon. And in your colon, your gut bacteria ferment it, and that fermentation activates a cellular energy switch called AMPK, cell metabolism research. AMPK activation, the same cellular switch that your body turns on during exercise and during fasting. When AMPK is active, fat burning increases and insulin sensitivity improves. Overnight oats, because of the resistant starch, formed during overnight refrigeration, activate this pathway every morning at breakfast. Instant oats do not do this. They are pre-processed. The starch structure that becomes resistant starch during refrigeration is already broken down. The specific product, rolled oats or steel-cut oats, soaked overnight in liquid, is the mechanism. 1/2 cup of dry oats. Cover with unsweetened almond milk or water. Refrigerate overnight. In the morning, add berries and a small amount of cinnamon. That combination, resistant starch, anthocyanins, and blood sugar stabilization, is 3 mechanisms working simultaneously at breakfast. How to use: 1/2 cup dry rolled or steel-cut oats. Soak overnight in milk of choice. Add berries and cinnamon in the morning. Eat cold or warm. The resistant starch structure is maintained either way. At the start of this video, I promised you a personal shortcut. What I use on mornings when I do not have time for a full breakfast but still want my metabolism working for me. It is this: overnight oats prepared the night before with a handful of frozen blueberries, 1/2 teaspoon of Ceylon cinnamon, and 1 to 2 scoops of collagen peptides stirred in before refrigerating. In the morning, I eat it cold with 1/2 an avocado on the side. That one meal covers 4 of the 5 foods on this list. It takes 3 minutes to prepare the night before. And it delivers liver support, resistant starch, anthocyanins, adiponectin support, and blood sugar stabilization before my day begins. If this gave you something that your appointments never did, subscribe. 1 video every week. Real research. Real language. And tell me, which of these 5 is going in your breakfast first? I want to know. Leave it below. And one last thing before you go. If you have been trying to figure out why your body suddenly feels different, why your energy disappeared, why your sleep changed, why your emotions feel heavier lately, you are not imagining it, and you are not alone. PrimalHer is being built for women exactly like you. The waitlist is small right now, and we want to keep it that way. The women joining now will be the first through the door when it launches. PrimalHer.com, the link is in the description.